Half a day, guys. It's your boy Victorious, and we're back with another episode of the One Micronesia Podcast. Here with us today, I do have Monica Dioro, Francesca Dioro. I got Cami Egarola, and then I also have with us today Michelle from the awesome organization of Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show. You know, when Auntie Christy sent me the message and like, hey, you know, we have a big collab coming up with KUAM and the MCCA, and you know, I'd love to get them on the program. I was like, man, for sure. I've been waiting to talk with these ladies and the things that they've been doing for the past year. I was like, man, I need to talk to these ladies to find out how they're doing, find out what they're up to, and just to know what the organization is all about. So again, ladies, you know, let's start there. Let's start with getting to know Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. For those who don't know, what is Micronesia Climate Change Alliance?
So Micronesia Climate Change Alliance formed in 2018 after Super Typhoon U2 devastated the islands of Tinian and Saipan. And Michelle, who's the co-founder, was really wanting to start community conversations around the climate crisis that haven't been happening. And as people throughout Micronesia, we're on the front lines of the climate crisis, and we really need to be doing more to prepare our communities and to help transform the systems that have created the climate crisis, and really just be creating community-based solutions to help build sustainability and this idea of a regenerative economy.
Let's talk about the goal of an organization, because each organization, when you start up an organization, there has to be something that one idea or goal you go back to, or is the foundation of everything. So for you guys, what is it?
Well, I think that, you know, it's important to understand that the climate crisis is a symptom of a much larger issue. And that is that we are living in this very extractive economy, in these violent, oppressive systems. And so the goal has always been for us to create community-based solutions to the climate crisis. And that is where we thrive, and that is where we do our best work, is directly with the community. But when we first started, we were more of a political, advocacy group, so to speak. And then me and Monica teamed up sometime in 2019, and we got with an organization called Climate Justice Alliance, and they work with 80 organizations across the United States. And they gave us this justice analysis and justice framework that we have since incorporated into our program since. And that's what all of our programs are. They are community-based solutions to the climate crisis. And we do that through digital media. We do that through working with high school kids. Through our food sovereignty program, where we created or co-created a cookbook highlighting local farmers, recipes, plant-based restaurants. And for this web series, it kind of began out of our Precious Plastics initiative, where we have these machines, some of them you can see in the back of me, that grind, melt, and eject plastic waste, and we can make new niche items. And so we wanted to create this web series to discuss what the waste streams look like on our island, in hopes of connecting more people to it and having them and to raise the consciousness of our community on their consumption habits and where their waste goes when they throw it away.
Amazing. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about we talked about the web series. So we're going to talk about season 1 of the web series that's hit the YouTube and the digital world that people love so much. So we'll talk about that coming up after this break. Half a day, guys, and we're back. Man, what an awesome talk. You know, kicked it off with getting to know the ladies who are behind this thing called MCCA, which you've all seen on Instagram and Facebook. So I've talked to them. They're such an awesome team. What an awesome, a bunch of individuals together working on the same goal, which is everything climate change. So guys, thank you so much. And we're back. I mean, ladies, Thank you so much. We're back, and we're going to talk about what's about to air, the great collab with KYM, and we're going to do the season 2, but that's coming up later on. We'll talk about season 2. So let's talk about season 1 from our nanas for our nannies. Let's talk about it. How did it all go? How did it all start? I mean, let's talk about the production work. Let's learn about this.
So this resource was really like a passion project between all of these wonderful women, like Jenny from Fu'una Cultures, Tawny from Z's Green Canteen. The Earth Kitchen girls really helped with the graphic design and a lot of the recipes inside. And there's like countless other co-authors in this
and it was beautifully illustrated by
beautifully illustrated by Veronica Sablan. And so this piece of work we really wanted to extend and like really get it out to the public and create some more messaging around why it's important to buy local, shop local, support your local farmers, and why it's also healthy for you to eat a more local diet that includes a lot more plants and plant-based foods. So from our Nanas for Our Nannies, the video series really is about taking stock of the wisdom that was brought down to us by our grandparents, especially around sustainable eating and making recipes that are like comfort food, and learning about like the present situation with our farming, our imports, and how our health is also doing because of our reliance on these imports, and then really deciding for ourselves, me and Cami as the guinea pigs throughout the series, how we want to move forward for our nannies, and learning as much as we can about our food sovereignty situation for the future and for future generations. So that's pretty much what I think From Our Nanas for Our Nannies season 1 is about. We really went into a deep dive in our own personal kitchens and our gardens, and then we also took a tour of a local farm called Farms with a 14-year-old farmer, which was like a really awesome experience and really great story share with the community. My connection, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much season 1.
I mean, you talk about, when you build a TV series, and I think one of the biggest things that go into it is the research behind it, So let's talk about some of the things that you guys learned in season 1. I mean, you talk about going to farm with a teenager, so let's talk about some of those things that you guys learned along the way, experiences that you gained as you were building this series.
I think one of the most memorable people that I met on season 1 was Kristen Oberiano from Guahan Sustainable Cultures. She's the secretary of Guahan Sustainable Cultures, and in part of an episode, she explained to us what the difference between food security and food sovereignty is. And for me, learning that it is possible to make decisions on a large scale and a small scale as a consumer and just a person that's a part of a small community, that was really impactful for me, for someone who is switching from a very consumeristic lifestyle and switching into something that is more mindful and more conscious of the things that not only am I putting into my body, but also into the community. And another thing that I thought was very interesting was learning from wellness and lifestyle and health coaches. We also heard from Livia Marati and Joshua Dunn, who are life coaches and holistic health coaches. And that was also really interesting for me because, I didn't know that all these resources are out here. I learned about Guahan Sustainable Culture at the peak of the pandemic when they were giving out their produce bags. I learned about Wellness Collective, and I learned about Joshua's initiatives that they're doing like as a career, but also in the community. And these things are available to the public, and I thought that it was really awesome that we were able to highlight these local creative people, these local wellness coaches. And that was a big thing for me learning about this, is that we do have these resources and we have them here, and it's important to support them here. But in terms of statistics, I think that it's important for people to know that a lot of the food that we get at our grocery stores, a lot of the food that we get at supermarkets, they're imported. Almost everything is imported. And with that comes, taking away business from local farmers and local business owners that, have these stands and they sell off of the back of their truck, and they put all of this time and effort into growing healthy food that is organic, and they take so much care and they invest their whole day in these produce bags in one small fruit, and it's important to support them because that brings wellness and it brings unity within our community. So that was something that was beautiful for me.
Yeah, and also just understanding and putting out the message too that a lot of the climate crisis is caused from the industrial agricultural. There's so much water waste and there's so much transportation and fossil fuels and deforestation that's all happening because of the trillion-dollar food industry. And then also the packaging on top of that. So kind of putting it all together and having that huge picture, as well as like the local things that we can do right here, right now to empower our communities and support the farmers and support these different organizations, was really important for us to bring that into all the viewers at home and on YouTube and on our Instagram.
You know, ladies, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to learn more about the brand new upcoming series that you guys have got in the works, and we're teaming up with KUAM. So we'll be back to find out more about that. Hafide, guys. Hey, we're back. It's the One Micronesia Podcast. And in this episode, we're talking to the amazing ladies over there at the Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. We talked about how it all started, what the program and organization is all about. We talked about season 1 of the From Our Nanas for Our Nennies. And then now it's a big collaboration that's coming up, and you get to see it all throughout the month of April. So let's talk about that. Season 2 of From Our Nanas for Our Nennies.
Fun, for sure.
Fun.
Who don't know Chamorro, Nanas is the mothers. Mostly we refer to Nanas as our grandmothers or any female elder. And then Nennies are the babies. And Cheska spoke a lot about the value system that informs our sort of methodology in presenting the information and wanting to share out how we're really wanting to just prepare ourselves as the upcoming generation, taking the wisdom of the elders and really wanting to create something better for the nannies and for the future generations. And I think that Cami and Cheska and our production assistant Christian are doing such a wonderful job at really crafting and producing the story. And I'll tell them, they can share a little bit more about what season 2 is all about.
Sure. So season 2 was brought about by a grant from Guahan Humanities and the National Endowment for the Humanities. So we are taking a little bit more of a humanities turn this season. We collected interviews starting in November up until basically this month with different community members and people who can really speak to this issue from a lot of different angles. We really wanted to look at the entirety of the waste stream, from imports to retail to where it goes after it leaves our houses, or maybe you live in an apartment building and it leaves a commercial area. We wanted to know what happens to all of the waste that is brought to the island. Because one of the things that we learned also from season 1 is that 90% of the food that we bring in and eat is imported. And so that includes a lot of packaging and a lot of waste. So we wanted to find out the statistics behind our waste stream. We wanted to know where everything went, and also what happens when the waste leaves the waste stream and what happens to it in the environment. So we talked to Peggy Denny, who is, she's famous throughout the island for being the champion behind iRecycle. We talked to marine biologists like Lindani Sablon, who study sea turtles. We also talked to Bob Parent, who runs Guam Waste Control, who does all of the municipal recycling for Guam. And we also got interviews with the lads in landfill, with Roman Perez from Guam Waste Authority, yes, the Waste Authority, just to really get a full scope of the waste and see where it goes. And we really want to find solutions for the future generations, because at the rate that we're going, we're going to run out of land eventually for these landfills, and plastic in general is going to be a problem that generations and generations and generations from now are still going to be dealing with. So we really wanted to see what kind of creative solutions are out there from the personal level all the way up to the business and policy level. So yeah, we really spent a lot of time getting a full scope of the picture as much as we could.
What I liked about this season 2 is that we really branched out to not being so Guam-centric, to really inviting people in from the Marianas and from the FSM to give a fuller regional look into this plastic and waste crisis.
And we also talked to small business owners like Aguaran Iriarte of MISA, who runs a zero waste business. And then we also talked to the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability, who is creating a maker space for artists to hopefully use some of the waste that we have on Guam and turn it from waste to wealth. Of course, we highlighted our Precious Plastics Initiative to kind of show that there are these small ways that people can recycle waste, and there are these small little initiatives and business ideas where people can actually make a business out of it and can make money, to offer some hope as well.
And lastly, conducting these interviews, and again, shout out to Christian for really helping us like organize these interviews so that they can be done efficiently and safely, especially with COVID, So one of the things that we learned throughout the series is that a lot of people recognize that it's policy that makes a lot of the change. Not all of it, definitely, but most of it comes from policy. And so we were lucky towards the end of our project to interview a former policymaker and someone who is currently in legislature. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And let's talk about what were some of the alarming things that you guys learned through when making this series?
There's a lot.
I think across the board for all of us who've talked about this multiple times is that when we visited Ladson landfill, we learned that Guam produces 600,000 pounds of waste per day, and that I couldn't believe. And then we were asking, did this slow down at all during the pandemic? And it didn't.
No.
Waste didn't slow down at all.
You would think without like 1 million visitors that our waste would have been a lot less, but the truth is that consumption kind of picked up, and especially consumption of single-use things, plastic items, because of COVID, meaning that everything now needs to be packaged and sanitized. I think that it ended up making it so that each individual and household produced the same amount of trash. Just with the 170,000 people here, our waste wasn't impacted by the loss of 1 million visitors almost, which is really alarming, I think.
Another cool thing that will also be highlighted in this series is the way that Saipan transformed a former landfill and dump into a now public resource, into the Enos Peace Park. And that was a really cool conversation that we had with Auntie Elizabeth Balahaja from the CNMI, and in talking about what that conversion looks like in creating a exercise park made out of trash. And that's something that we could be doing in the future, but we also just need to be curbing our waste in general.
We're going to take a break and we'll be back to close out with final comments and all that. So we'll be right back. Hafa guys, and we're back. What an amazing talk that I got with 4 of Guam's awesome and hardworking ladies who are out there just grinding it out, 8 to 5, just all about the environment and all about educating the public about how and what's happening around us, especially when it comes to climate change. I'm going to say this because we started the month off by celebrating International Women's Day. It was such a big day, but I think it shouldn't be a day. It should be every day, And talking about powerful and influential women, you 4 sitting right there are 4 influential women in our community who has done something that men hasn't done yet. You guys have stepped up your game. You're like, you know what? I'm tired of this plastic. I'm tired of trash, on our beaches. We got to do something. So you guys stood up. You used your voice, use the resource around us, and you created such an amazing organization that's going to live on forever and do that exactly, which is to help and educate people about climate change. So I said here in my notes, I'm going to say it, from super influencers, now you guys have turned to super Wonder Women. How has that sunk in?
I think it's just in the vein of, the matrilineage that's strong in Micronesian cultures. It just lives on with all of us, not just here on Guahan, but the rest of the Marianas, and also in Palau and throughout the FSM and the Marshalls. There's this strong empowerment of women historically and into today. And it's really beautiful to just take up the mantle and continue in the vein of from our nanas for our nannies, just really taking up the responsibility to lead the charge in positive changes.
Amazing. So let's talk about it. What's next for now? Season 2 is going to sink in. Everybody's going to watch it in April. And I know the job is not done. I know that's not the end of it. So what's next for MCCA?
Oh, we have some great things happening. So in the vein of zero waste, we are going to be launching a Kickstarter throughout April and May. And we're bringing home someone from the diaspora. She's also going to be contributing to From Our Nanas for Nanny Season 2. Her name is Jasmine Flores. She is going to be running an amazing initiative with us called Numalu. It's a zero waste refillery. So it's going to be a store on wheels that has all your things zero waste, from beauty to household goods and small food things as well. That's going to help this zero waste movement really grow on our island. So that's one really exciting thing. We also have a Civic Climate Justice Weavers program, and we have 9 members throughout Micronesia. We have 2 people from Palau, Pohnpei, Yap, and the CNMI as well here, where we're meeting and we're discussing, and we're going to be strategizing a more regional action plan for resilience against the climate change, and really just being more informed about the different frameworks around this idea of regenerative economics and energy democracy and the just transition, which are all big like buzzwords in the climate justice movement. We're really trying to ground those things in a Micronesian lens is what the purpose of this Climate Justice Weavers program is all about. I mean, MCCA started always not to just be focused on Guam, but to really move throughout the rest of the Micronesian region so we could act collectively. There's nothing that's going to happen on one of the islands. Like all of our islands are going to be affected, and we all need to be cohesive and building our own and amplifying our voices in the international stage and also here at home. So that's the hopes for that program that we got going on, and there's more, I'm sure.
We hope to do a season 3, focusing more on energy democracy. We didn't really, after we finished season 1, we wanted to do a season 2, but we didn't know how it was going to happen, and then it happened. And so we're all just putting it out there that we plan to be back for a season 3.
We're manifesting.
Okay.
She's on the vision board.
We hope to do it on energy democracy. We did a lot of energy democracy work when we first began, and with the pandemic and all, we shifted focus to what was most urgently needed in our community, which was food sovereignty work and waste. And now we're ready to get back into the game of energy democracy and teach people about what that means and about community and collective resilience. So hopefully season 3.
All right, I'm ready. Season 3, let's go. Ladies, thank you so much again for taking the time to speak with me about your program and the season 1 and now season 2, and just learning your story, as you know, because you're in this, and you know, Cami said it, you know, it's like working with friends. So this is a journey that you learn, you know, little things here and there. So it's I can't wait to see and talk to you guys again and find out about season 3 and find out what you've learned as you've you know, grown through this journey of, you know, learning and protecting our environment and everything around climate change. So such an awesome thing. So guys, before we close out, any final comments?
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who supports us on social media and shares our post. Thank you to Guahan Waste Control, Climate Justice Alliance, Guahan
Sustainability.
Yes.
The Guam Green Growth.
Guam Green Growth.
Initiative, and KWM.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time. And like I said, I can't wait for season 3. And when you guys are ready, just hit me up again and we'll jump on this thing, or maybe in the future, you know, one-on-one interviews are back up. So whatever it is, just let me know and we'll definitely talk more about it, because it's such an awesome journey that you guys are on. Thank you guys so much. And this is still the wonderful work that you guys are doing. Everybody watching the podcast, clap for these wonderful ladies right here.
And we're so proud of you. I think it's so awesome to have a podcast centered on Micronesias in general, and just showing the unity of our islands and the diaspora, wherever you may be, how, being from here is so special. And I'm so grateful that you get to highlight it. And I'm so happy to see you too.
I know, been a minute, fam. I mean, that's what it's all about. Maniaka talked about it. One island can't do all. One island can't make all the change. All the islands has to come together as one Micronesia to make any change, and whatever change we got, whatever goal we have, we'll work towards it as one Micronesia. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up another episode of the One Micronesia podcast. We will see you at the next one. Peace.